There are moments in life when the heart is asked to carry more than it ever expected. Sometimes love means sacrifice, but where do we draw the line? Today, I want to share a story with you, a story of family, loyalty, and one woman caught between kindness and her own conscience. If you've ever faced a decision that shook your sense of right and wrong, this might speak to you. My name is Eleanor. I am 36 years old. I live in a quiet coastal village in Cornwall with my husband, David, and our 3 children. Poppy is 11, Alice is 8, and little Finn just celebrated his 3rd birthday. Our home is nestled near the cliffs, not far from David's father's cottage. Life here is simple and deeply rooted in family. David works as a carpenter. I stay home to care for the children and tend our little garden. People in the village often say, we're a strong and loving family, and truly we are. David has an older brother, Richard. He's 2 years his senior. When they were children, their parents worked long hours at the fish market, and it was Richard who helped raise David. He walked him to school, made sure he did his reading, and always kept a watchful eye. David respects him immensely. Richard is married to a woman named Charlotte. She's quiet, gracious, and good-natured. Over the years, she and I have grown close. We chat about roses, swap knitting patterns, and take the train into town to visit the seed markets together. Her garden, like mine, blooms beautifully in spring. But beneath her gentle smile, Charlotte carries a quiet sorrow. She cannot have children something to do with her health, though she doesn't speak of it often. I always try to lift her spirits. You never know, I tell her. Medicine is a marvel these days. She smiles politely, but as the years go on, the nursery in her heart remains empty. Then one day, during Finn's christening, our family gathered for a grand celebration. The house was full of laughter, music, and the smell of roast lamb. Richard was named Finn's godfather. He adores children, always bringing little wooden toys, playing hide and seek, and telling the most ridiculous stories. After the party, as the sky turned gold and the guests made their way home, David and Richard came into the kitchen where I was tidying up. David said, "I'll settle Finn in. Richard wants a quiet word." I laughed. "What is it now? Another fishing trip?" But Richard wasn't smiling. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Eleanor, would you consider having a baby for me?" I was stunned. For a moment, the room stood still. He continued, "I love Charlotte. I can't leave her, but our home feels so hollow. I see your children and I feel warmth, life, joy. I want that. Just one child. If you carried it, we'd raise it far from here. I'd give David my share of the family property. I'd make sure you're cared for. Please, Eleanor." I felt my stomach twist. "You can adopt," I offered, but he shook his head. "We tried. The baby had so many problems." It broke Charlotte's heart. My voice trembled. "You want me to carry your child, then hand it over and never see it again?" He nodded quietly. I left the room and found Charlotte sitting in the conservatory, watching the stars. "Did you know?" I asked. She nodded, her eyes glistening. "He wants a child so badly," she whispered. "And I can't give him one. I'm afraid he'll leave me. But if you helped, he might stay. I know you have a kind heart. You love your children. I don't want my marriage to fall apart." We spoke for a long time. about pain, about guilt, about what it means to help someone and what it costs to do so. David, he said nothing. He has always followed his brother's lead. That night I lay awake, torn between compassion and fear. Could I really do this? Could I give life to a child only to say goodbye forever? When we are asked to help someone we love, the line between kindness and sacrifice can grow painfully thin. Eleanor stood at that line, unsure which way to turn, and perhaps some of us have too. If you've ever faced a decision that challenged your heart, tell me, what would you have done in her place? Would you say yes or protect the life you've built? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story touched you, do like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more moments like this to light.